we'll take it on from there. Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Okay.
We are live on SNP with a lady who जिनको किसी इंट्रोडक्शन की जरूरत नहीं है because जब मैंने पहली दफा सुना था कि कोई इस मुल्क में, हमारे मुल्क में अगर कोई काम कर रहा है स्पेशली एबल्ड, कोई किसी किस्म का स्कूल है, किसी किस्म का सेंटर है, तो सबसे पहला नाम जो सुनाई दिया मेरी कानों में वो था Saima Haq. And I am so honored to share this space with you today, Saima. Welcome to SNP.
Rabia, what you're doing is amazing, especially during these difficult times, but even otherwise, the community you've created is just absolutely amazing, and you're relentless, and you're such a good example for all parents and community workers out there. You've just brought everybody together on one platform, and I'm honored to be here with you.
I'm going to cry now, so please introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself.
Basically, I am a special educator. I came to Pakistan in 1993, and I have been running SCEI, which is a special school for children with moderate to severe intellectual challenges since 1996. So, mashallah, it'll be 25 years this January. So 2.5 decades. I can't believe it. When I came, there was not a lot of advocacy. There wasn't a lot of support for families in the field of special education. There wasn't as many outpatient services. There weren't OTs, PTs readily available. They were few and far between. So special education for me, as a special educator, I thought that the best thing would be to open my own institute and start with, an environment which I can be completely in control of, So we started very small. I started teaching with students one-on-one on my own, and then I would train teachers, and now we're a strength of 50 students because that's the amount of space we have. And we continue to maintain a 3-to-1 teacher-student ratio across the board. And within the school, any special school should provide a complete solution for a special child. So we make sure that within the school framework, we have a speech therapist, we have an OT, we have a physiotherapist, as well as 1-to-1, 2-to-1, and 3-to-1 teaching environments for all our students, depending on each child's needs. So we create that environment. What happens in a special school, what's supposed to happen in a special school is that all the students' needs are met within that environment so that everybody is working together, and a curriculum is designed especially for that child. So the parent is part of the child's development, but the school is responsible for the majority of the child's development. We don't have a psychologist. We don't have any medical staff because that's where the parents are taking full responsibility. We're there to provide all the support services that that child needs to be functionally and independently taught. So
it's been it's been a while. It's been a long journey. So if we go back to where you started, the struggles that you have faced to be successfully running a successful networking, where you said a special needs school is a place where everybody needs to come together. You need to have all those facilities together. How difficult was it in the beginning for you to establish that kind of community?
Again, because we're a school, so our community is automatically established because the community comes to you on a daily basis. Right. So you're not really going out and creating a community. That community already exists within the framework of the school. So that was not a challenge. The challenge that was there then is the same challenge we have now, is when you provide all these resources under one roof, there's only so much you can charge the parent. So we're providing speech therapy, physiotherapy, occupational therapy, one-on-one operational training for the children, 3-to-1 teacher-student ratio. When all these things are taking place, it becomes very, very expensive. So number one, that is one resource that is, because you can charge parents $40,000 a month. You have to stay within an affordable environment, and disability does not come with an economic selection. So it can affect anybody from any economic class, and we want our doors to be open to everybody. We don't want to have to turn away a student because they cannot afford. So we've struggled, and that's why our school is a nonprofit as well as a trust, so that we can provide all those services. So one struggle is the financial resources. The second struggle is the trained teachers, and teachers who we feel are, have a strong enough background in special education. And so that also is something that we do within our school. So we get a lot of teachers who just graduate out of Karachi University. They come, they work for us for a year, 2 years. But because of the distances and, Karachi University being the only university that is providing special education training, those students that study at Karachi University find SCEI very far, because we're at the other end of the city. They're at the other end of the city. They want to work with us because they know that they'll get to work in an environment where they really, really learn a lot. Even though they're teaching, we are doing a lot of on-job training. So once they've worked with us, they understand how to develop a curriculum, how to work with these children, and a lot of them stay, but then a lot of them move on and get jobs in other centers, in hospitals, in clinics, Liaquat, Aga Khan, all these places that are now doing outpatient services or providing support to children, OT, PT, or other special schools or other mainstream schools. They do get to move on and get other jobs that are closer to where they live.
Now, Saima, 50 students, because that is the space that is available.
Right.
How difficult has it been turning people away because you are at a full capacity? And if you can sort of, I know you are in phase 2 extension. What are the age groups, and just to give everybody who's listening a kind of background of SCEI?
So SCEI basically takes children first come, first serve. So as soon as a child comes, if we can accommodate the child, we take the child. We don't take children after the age of 12, mostly because once the students, sometimes we'll take them at 13, 14, depends at what stage. Mostly boys, because the teachers that we have are mostly female, and they need to be comfortable working with the children. So we take students up till the age of 12, and also those children have still an opportunity to learn some, academic areas. Where what we do is we basically gauge where the child is cognitively, where its language development is, where its cognitive skills are, and then develop the curriculum according to the child. So once we are confident that we can take the child in, we provide the parents with a basic framework. We give them short-term goals. We spend about a week, 2 weeks working with the child before we can actually tell the parents what level the child is at, because the children here go to many different schools. They move around a lot. So there's a lot of learning, but then there's also a lot of forgetting. So when the child comes to us, we really need to establish what the child's foundation is, regardless of what age that child is. And then once we, because whatever has, the retention has taken place, it needs to, we need to know where the foundation is and where do we start working with the child. So right now in our school, we have children who are doing maths, which might be grade 4, and computations on the calculator, but their writing skills may be grade 1. So they may be doing, you know, basic, you know, vocabulary, basic sounds, basic phonetics in one area, but they might be excelling or doing better in another area. So the IEP is developed around the needs of the child specifically. And when you talk about turning away, we really don't, it's interesting how we have, we always try and accommodate. Even though we're at full capacity, we still try and accommodate students if and when we can. So a lot of times children will come to us and parents after 2-3 years will feel that their child learning has been picked up and they want to try a mainstream school. So there is some natural progression of students coming in and transitioning out and new students coming in. And then at the same time, we have students who have been in the same institute for the last 22 years. Some of my students are the same students. They came in at 10 and now they're 34. But we have a commitment to our students. Any student we take in, we will continue with their program and with their teaching as long as they are continuing to benefit from our program and are, you know, and are continuing to come to school, because we don't want to turn away children after a certain age, because number one, we've invested in them. We understand their needs. If we can't accommodate them, how do we expect these young adults to go out and be accommodated by somebody else? So that's how we started the vocational program.
And one of the main misconceptions or myths, I would like to call, is a lot of when I have, you know, referred to a lot of parents to SCEI. The first thing I've always heard is, but my child is not intellectually challenged, so I do not want him to be surrounded by children who might pull him or her down. Right. And you know, I've always explained to them that, you know, I am waiting for my child's immunity to become so strong that one day she can actually attend a school. So a school, whether it be SCEI or whether it be any other school which is facilitating her needs, her requirements, and that is what it is. But that is one of the main things that I've always heard. I don't want my child to be pulled down by other children. So I really want you to address this, because you are the best person to address this.
This basically, the way you have to look at it is every parent, in every parent's eyes, their child, they want the best for their child. And unfortunately, this is the argument with special education, especially in Pakistan, is unfortunately when special education started in Pakistan, most of the schools started out of a parent's need to create an environment. It wasn't done because someone went out and got a professional degree in that area and opened an institute to provide a proper environment for their students. So regardless of the school being a special school or being a mainstream school, there are 3 things that a parent of a special needs child has to make sure. Number one, they have to make sure that the learning environment is conducive to their child. Number 2, they have to make sure that the child is getting the attention that they require. And number 3, they have to make sure that the school that they're sending their child to is accountable for the learning of their child. So if you're sending your child to a school with a shadow teacher, is the shadow teacher accountable or is the school accountable? It's simple. Are you going to And it's a, people will think that this is not a relevant analogy, but what I tell the parents is, well, you go to a restaurant and pay for a meal and take your cook with you to prepare it? No, you will not. You will go to a restaurant because you expect their services to be up to par to your requirement. The same should be for a school. So I believe in mainstreaming. I would want nothing better for Pakistan to have an environment where parents can confidently mainstream their children. But at the end of the day, it's all about the learning outcomes of your child. Now, in a special school, you have specially trained teachers. A special school is a special school if it has a 3-to-1 teacher-student ratio. If it doesn't have that ratio, it's not a special school. Because learning for children, and I'm talking about children with moderate to severe intellectual disabilities. I'm not talking about slow learners. So if you have a moderate to severe intellectual disability, if your IQ is below 60, your child's IQ is below 60, they need reinforcement. They have a shorter attention span. When you put your child in a mainstream school, there's so much happening. There's so much distraction. It's very difficult for that child to learn. And if the mainstream school is teaching and saying we are providing mainstream schooling, is there a special classroom for the special needs students where it can be a small room? It doesn't have to be a large classroom. It just has to be the size of maybe an office. But is that environment conducive to your child's learning? Is the child able to concentrate in that environment? If the child is easily distracted and sitting with 20 other students, it's very difficult for that child to absorb and engage what they're being taught. It's like you can have a PhD, but if you don't speak Japanese and I put you in a Japanese university or a Japanese middle school or a Japanese kindergarten, you're still not going to be able to absorb what's going on in the environment, because it is not conducive to your learning. So that is one reason that I feel that parents need to be educated as far as what is your child's learning outcome and what is your child gaining from the environment, because you're spending a lot of money. You're paying for tuition, and then you're paying for a shadow teacher, and you're also taking your children to therapies after school and taking them to a lot of resources. So 25% of the learning is only being done by the school. 75% of the learning is being done by teaching is being done by the parent. So that is where you have to measure. If you can find a special school that provides all these resources, then 70% of the learning is being done in the school, and then the rest of the day of the child is being like a normal child. Yeah. You're spending time with your siblings, you're doing things that you would normally be doing. You're at home, you're playing, you're meeting people. You're not spending 70% of the time that you're home after school going to different therapies and looking for resources. So I think it takes a lot of burden off the parent as well. And and parents have to advocate for the resources within their school. If they're paying the school tuitions, then they have to say, my special child is here, you're providing a mainstream environment. Why can't we have a small setup for 5 or 6 of the special children who are in the school? So educate yourself as far as what is special education, and demand and advocate for those resources, especially if you're paying for them, if you're paying for an inclusive environment.
And in continued conversation about inclusivity, we are constantly trying to raise awareness about how parents need to educate themselves, because it's very easy to run with the flock or head towards the crowd, but to be able to make a decision. For example, a lot of about 5 years ago, a lot of parents used to, ask me, but why don't you go to that therapist, at this institute for Alia? And I would say that, listen, if I have to put my child in the car or in a transport where I am taking her 45 minutes away from the house and bringing her back 45 minutes back, that's almost 2 hours in transport with the traffic, and then the wait outside for her to go into therapy, I've already tired my child out and really, really annoyed her. So it's
Right.
not going to bring positivity to her or to me.
Right.
And so we need to be our child's best advocate and make decisions which are conducive to their learning and their growth. Sama, I want to quickly talk about how Sky, over the years, I mean, over the time that I've been seeing you work so hard with carnivals, with all kinds of setups. You get the children out, you get them to do activities, and you have items that are created by them and crafted by them. How long have you been participating in outdoor activities with your children?
Since day one. Since day one, because when I came in 1993, we used to have the American Women's Club. So we used to have our own carnivals. And for me, you won't see me, but you will see my students everywhere. And that's where I shine. When they shine, we shine. When they're engaged, when they're involved, when their products are in carnivals, and people see the work that's being done, that is what changes people's attitudes towards these children, is when they see them participating in public spaces. And that's why we do art exhibitions. That's why we engage. So from day one, that is inclusion. Inclusion does not have to be in the 3 hours in the morning. The 3 hours or the 4 hours that your child is going to school, those should be the time where the focus is on your child and making your child operationally independent. The rest of the day should be, your child should be living a normal life. And that's what our focus is at Sky, is that we focus on the children's needs. In the 4 hours that they're there, we equip the parents with their day-to-day tasks, whatever learning is happening. We have homework, we have daily diaries, we have assignments. Right now, our students are sitting at home through COVID, but daily I'm getting WhatsApp videos of my students are cooking, they're cleaning, they're using their iPad, they're doing homework. The teachers have given them work over the period of the course of this lockdown, and the children are engaged. And that's when we succeed. We succeed when we see our children being part of a normal life, engaging with their siblings, engaging with their students. And to address the point that you discussed about parents not wanting special needs children to be next to other special needs children, you have to go into an environment and visit that environment and see, because a lot of times what we think is inclusion could be public seclusion. It's a very important thing to ponder, is that we are doing so much to make our children inclusive, but is the environment where we are sending our child to, is the environment really inclusive, or is my child physically in an inclusive environment while he's being secluded? So special needs children are in an inclusive environment when they are included in everything, when they're included in the games, when they're included in the jokes, when they're included in the conversations, when they're included in the activities. If your child is in a normal school and he's not included in these things, then you are basically, your child is socially isolated, even though he's inclusive, he's in an inclusive environment, but he's publicly secluded. So, and we've all been in positions where we've gone to parties or we've gone to lunches where we don't know anybody, or people are more close than we are. How do we feel as an individual? How do I feel if I go to a party where I don't know 70% of the people and there's all these inside jokes going on and I'm not included in those jokes, or I'm not included in that? Put yourself in those shoes. Think of how that feels, and then readdress the choices that you're making for your child. And think about their emotional well-being, as well as their academic well-being, as well as their social well-being. All of these things are ultimately, your goal is to have a happy child. A happy child is a successful child. A successful child who's frustrated to meet this benchmark that you've been working so hard on. What have you chopped away at your child to get him to achieve that one particular goal? And is it at the end of the day really worth it? Is that goal that that child has achieved academically, is that something that the child is going to retain for the next 2-3 years? Or is it something that when he's learned something else, maybe he'll forget that? So was all that effort that you made teaching your child or bringing your child up to that benchmark to be included in an inclusive or a mainstream school, or struggled with and had tears and frustrations and tutors coming in and teaching, is that really worth it? So as a parent, you really need to fine-tune yourself with your child and let your child tell you where he's happy, where he belongs, and where he wants to be. Now, with addressing the question that you asked earlier as to, do special needs children get pulled down by other special needs children? You know, you have to go and see environments where there are special needs children. If you go, everybody has access to the internet. Everybody has access to these resources. Look at associations, look at organizations where children of special needs are coming together. Down syndrome programs, autism programs, Special Olympics. These children thrive when they are around other children who are compassionate and don't have expectations. So create those environments for your children and see if your child is thriving in that, then maybe he needs to be around other special children. We have beautiful relationships in our school, and I can give you example after example after example. I put a Down syndrome child next to an autistic child. An autistic child does not like being touched. A Down syndrome child loves hugging. 6 months later, the Down syndrome child has learned to keep their hands to themselves and not hug their student without his permission. And that student who did not like being touched doesn't mind being hugged twice a day. So the beauty in these peer relationships and what these children learn from each other and the compassion they have for their peers is really amazing. And I don't think there's anything negative about that, as long as the environment has enough support to make sure that the children are not learning negative behaviors from each other. So if you can manage your special education environment well, and you have good special educators, that should not be a problem.
Absolutely. And it is so important that, you know, you highlighted this, Saima, because I think as a community, we tend to forget that whether it is our neurotypical kids or our especially able children, you know, and I just want to say that yesterday, so I do struggle with Alia, because these days under COVID, she has been limited and she has been isolated and quarantined at home with us. However, having said that, she is a nature lover, so she wants to go outside. She wants to sit and hear the birds, and this has been a truly enriching experience for her, because she has been able to hear a lot more chirping as on more than the regular days. And yesterday I had gotten into a little conflict with her in the morning, and and I was upset at her. And my little one, who's only 3 years old, and that is where we're talking about empathy and compassion, not because I have inculcated or ingrained it into my 3-year-old, but the compassion she had for her sister. And she said, please don't yell, because she doesn't like loud noises. If it can come from a 3-year-old, I fail to understand why it can't come from a 30-year-old parent. And that is one of the things we struggle with. That is one of the things we primarily struggle with, is when adults fail to understand the compassionate systems that children can create for other children, for all children.
Right. Absolutely.
Saima, before we get on to ParentsPlus, because I really want to talk about this beautiful app that you have, really worked hard and created, I want to talk about Spelt and and how you have been working towards it, and what you have been doing for what has that done for your vocational center and institute?
So Spelt is the Society for Pakistani English Language Teachers. And I interestingly got into it because of my writing. Had nothing to do with special education. I was invited to come and present some writing that I had done at one of their conferences. And when I went to the conference, all I saw was hundreds and hundreds of teachers. And I was like, wait a minute, this is an organization that pulls together thousands of teachers from all over Pakistan every year, and there's nothing, there's no resources for them on special education. So I went to the president and the board, and I said, look, you guys have all these teachers, and one of the teachers had found out that, had looked me up and knew that I had a background in special education. So she came and started asking me questions, and then another one came and another one came, and I said, this is a perfect platform to educate teachers, because a lot of times there's the differently able children that we recognize, but then there's so many invisible disabilities that are taking place, learning disabilities that teachers can actually detect in the classroom. So let's give them the resources. Let's give them the professionals who can actually, give them workshops and teach them about special needs. So I felt that the teachers were really, really wanting and needing. Every teacher who I spoke to had a student where she felt that she was struggling with the child because she didn't have the skill set or the knowledge to basically figure out why that child was having trouble learning and why the child was struggling in her classroom, and how could she equip herself to better help that child. So that is where this strand came into place. So when I spoke to the board, they said, okay, fine, you chair it, but then what you do is you organize, and we'll give you a strand. So in a conference, a strand means that if you have a 2-day conference and you have workshops from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Monday and 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Tuesday, then basically what you do is you pick a topic. So we have special education becomes part of the conference. And so I have somebody giving a talk on an area of special education, whether it's therapies, whether it's learning disability, whether it's, ADD, ADHD, and we have one classroom assigned to to the topic of special education. So throughout the day, we have different professionals coming in and giving different workshops on those areas. So that's how the strand fit into Spelt, and that's how come we are now. So Salma has come in and given a talk. A lot of professionals have come in. Iram from Dow University, Iram Rizwan, she comes in every year. I've had Ruxana Shah, who is the founder of Autism Spectrum. I always get this wrong. ASDWT, her organization. So we have different professionals come in and give different talks. And then the teachers have the freedom to choose whatever workshop. But luckily we've had a full house in all our workshops. And now it's been taking place for 3 years. So this will be the 4th year that we have that conference, that we have a strand in the conference.
And everybody who is striving to learn and educate themselves and become better at what they do definitely should be a part of this. ParentsPlus, Saima, is
my new baby.
Achievement. I mean, yes, your new baby, but ParentsPlus. We're just going to dive right into it.
So ParentsPlus is a mobile app for the parent to create a support network of people who are very close to her for her child. So it's basically the focus of the app is to ease the burden of the mother and organize her child's day-to-day life with the support of the people who are already around her. So her siblings, her best friend, maybe her neighbor, maybe her mother, whoever there are. So the platform, basically what you do is you download the app, you create a profile for your child the way you would go on Facebook and create a profile for yourself. When you create that profile, you have options of, vocabulary, medicine, diet, transportation, entertainment.
This is it went off. This is ParentsPlus, and then so I just wanted to show the interface before. So I had downloaded it, and this is what it looks like. And so this is
you've created Alia's profile page, and now what you do is you can invite people in your family to become part of Alia's support network, so that number one, through the app, you're being organized. You have all of her pertinent needs in one place. Your mom, your sister, anybody who you want to invite onto the app also has access to that information, so that, if you, and I'm sure this has happened, if you want somebody to babysit one of your children and say, I have to go somewhere for 2 hours, can I leave my child with you? If it's a normal child, people don't even bat an eye. But if it's a special child, there's a lot of anxiety. Oh, how will I be able to know what the child wants? What if, he has a tantrum? What if he wants something that I don't understand? How will he communicate? How will I understand what he's communicating? There's so much information that you need to give that person before you leave your child with that person. So if all of that information is on a platform that is at the access of the fingertips, the person who would be the caretaker, whether it's for an hour or for a day, would be well informed about your child's needs. And number two, would be equipped. They would be equipped and they would feel confident that, yes, I can start, maybe leave her for an hour. Let's see how it goes. And you can upload her favorite videos. You can upload links to her videos in her entertainment area. You can upload vocabulary. So if your child has communication problems, so if he has augmented speech or if he's nonverbal, you can upload your child's pics onto the platform, and the child can have his visual story on the platform. So anybody who is looking after the child for a short amount of time has access to all of that stuff, you know. So
And
it is.
I'm just going to sort of, for people who are asking, uh, Parents Plus is like I was, oh my God, why can't I get this right? I can never get this, the camera right. So Parents Plus is an app that was created, and it has so many different things going on. And yes, everybody can use this app. You just need to download it from App Store or Play Store, and then you have the interface and the app on your phone, and it has a reminders section. It has messaging. So basically जो आप लोग अपनी कम्युनिटी अपने बच्चे के लिए बनाते हैं, जिसके अंदर आपके पेरेंट्स या आपकी बहन या कोई भी उसके अंदर इन्वॉल्व हो, वो आपके साथ इधर मैसेजिंग कर सकते हैं कि ट्रांसपोर्टेशन है, मतलब कि एंड आप टैग्स ऐड भी कर सकते हैं, वोकैबुलरी है, मेडिसिन हैं, अदर आइटम्स हैं, डाइट. सो आपका बच्चा क्या खाता है, क्या है उसके नीड्स, इतनी सारी इंफॉर्मेशन, एंड यू कैन कीप कंटिन्यूइंग टू बिल्ड दिस ऐप. आई नो दैट देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ a couple of parents जो हमारे साथ हैं इस वक्त on listening to Saima. All you need to do is go to the App Store, download Parents Plus. ठीक है, एक येलो एंड ब्लू कलर का आइकॉन आता है, वो आप डाउनलोड कीजिए एंड फिर इसको एक्सप्लोर कीजिए, बिकॉज यू नो यू कैन नेवर गेट अ हैंग ऑफ any app without exploring it yourself, right, Saima?
Absolutely. And right now, you know, the app is created basically, ये app इसलिए बना है ताकि आप लोगों का जो माओं का जो बोझ है बच्चों का हर वक्त परेशान कि मुझे कुछ हो गया या मैं बीमार हो गई, कौन संभालेगा, what will happen to my child if something happens to me. So basically you have your friends and family, everybody is there to support you. Sometimes they just don't know how. So this is a way for them. Number one, bring them on your platform. Let them have the information and give them the tools so that they know what's going on with your child on a day-to-day basis. And the app will help you stay organized. You can update it. You can change medicines. You can change dosages. If your child, you know, even if your child is, you know, has diabetes, you know, sometimes parents whose children are diabetic are afraid to leave their children at somebody's house because maybe they won't eat something for 2 hours and their blood sugar will drop. So it doesn't matter what your child's issues are or what their limitations are. This app is for you. You create it the way it's there to work for you. So it's there. आप उसमें जो डालना चाहते हैं आप उसमें डाल सकते हैं, आप जिसको ऐड करना चाहते हैं आप ऐड कर सकते हैं. And because you've added somebody doesn't mean that that person can see all the information. You can also limit. So maybe you want one person to have all the information, you want another person to have limited information. आप लोग इसको इस्तेमाल करेंगे, you will give us feedback, we will keep improving it so that this is something that makes your life as a parent easier and helps you involve the people who are already there around you. So many times I'll go out to any carnival or anything and people will recognize me and they'll come to me and they'll say, you know, my sister's son is in your school and you know, my sister, she works really hard. I wish there was something I could do, but I don't know how to ask her. I don't know how to communicate. I don't want to offend her. I don't want to say something that will hurt her feelings. I don't want to sound naive, like I don't know anything about autism. So this is a platform to overcome those obstacles. आपके चारों तरफ बहुत लोग हैं जो आपसे मोहब्बत करते हैं, जो आपकी जिंदगी में आपके लिए आसानी लाना चाहते हैं. So this is a platform where you can start involving. अगर आपके सारा दिन therapies में जाना है, तो maybe you have 2 other kids who are at home who might need someone to come and support you. It all depends on you. Sometimes I realize that the mother has all the information, the father doesn't even have the information. You know, I have a student whose father recently retired and, you know, she was like, oh, now I can go to work, at peace. And she said, I went to work and he didn't know anything. It's not that he wasn't involved. He's every day involved, loves the child to death. But there's so much little information as mothers that we just keep adding to our own, selves, that there's no place to share that. There's no proper place where that information is. So even if you don't feel comfortable adding people right now, you could at least start using the platform to organize yourself so that you have everything pertinent to your child's needs in one place. Emergency contacts, who are their therapists, what is their vocabulary, so many things that on the back of your hand. You probably know these things even when you're sleeping, but how much of this can you just do on your own? They say it takes a village to raise a child. So here's a platform to create your village, and you can even add friends onto there, or you can add another parent of a special child who you're very close to, who you can say that, in case I'm not able to go to this therapist and you're going to the therapist, can you take my child for her therapy session as well? So it's your app, it's your platform, it's your community. It's like Facebook. Everybody uses Facebook for different reasons. Some people use it just to watch videos, and look what Rabia has done with Facebook. So the same way, you have this platform that is specifically catered to your needs. The more parents will use it, the more we will keep improving it for you. But आप लोग इसको download करें, आप अपने बच्चों का information डालें. It's completely secure. Only you have access to that information. Nobody else will have access to that information unless you invite them. So it's something that I created because over the years, I saw parents who have children who are 5, and then I saw the same parents who had the same children when they were 10, and now I see those same parents who have those children, and those children are now 25. Over the years, what has happened is आपका सर्कल जितना कम आप लोगों को इन्वॉल्व करते हैं, उतना आगे जाके आप अकेले होते जाते हैं. So the earlier you involve people in your child's day-to-day life, the more involved they will be in the long run. So the app is there for you to use that support that's आपके चारों तरफ है. They want to help, but they don't know how to help. So maybe you can say, okay, ठीक है, I need to go, to a shadi in the evening. Can I leave my child at your place? If they have the app, if they have the resources, if they have the information, they'll be more willing to say, yeah, sure, let's give it a try. But if you think, acha, मैं छोड़ के जाऊंगी, मुझे सारा कुछ बताना पड़ेगा, सारा कुछ समझाना पड़ेगा, I might as well just not go. So that's basically one of the reasons for the app. And this community can use it, can test it, can give me feedback. We can keep improving it. So it's there for you.
And again, just a reminder, कि ये जो app है, I mean, I've been tweaking it and working it, and I know कि Fazia is listening and she has been tweaking it. I'm sure she'll give you some feedback, Saima, because
please do. I'm waiting for feedback.
So, and one of the things is कि ये सिर्फ आपके उन बच्चों के लिए नहीं है जिनकी abilities में कोई कमी है. ये सब बच्चों के लिए है. ये एक ऐप है जो सब बच्चों के लिए है, क्योंकि इसके अंदर इतनी सारी चीजें हैं. एंड जब आप इसको वर्क करते हैं तो आप ये देखते हैं, oh, okay, this is not just for Alia, this is for my son and this is for my daughter also, because there was a parent who connected with me, Saima, and I must tell you, their child suffers from seizures, and they don't know when the next one will come. It's still they are still under a progressive process, as I would like to call it. And so they are tweaking the app, and they're continuously, messaging each other, okay, everything okay, everything, and they're sitting in two different rooms, but they're
Right.
using the app, and it has been so
That's
interesting, and they were
wonderful.
giving me some feedback which I will share with you. Saima, I want to wrap our session,
Mhm.
and you have talked about so many incredible things. You have talked about so many important issues, एंड एक ये इम्पोर्टेंट इशू आपने हाईलाइट करा कि अगर हम अपने विलेज का सर्कल, अपनी विलेज को नहीं बढ़ाएंगे, अपने सर्कल्स को नहीं बढ़ाएंगे, हमारे बच्चे, ये बहुत एक रिकरिंग क्वेश्चन होता है, व्हाट विल हैपन टू माय चाइल्ड व्हेन आई एम नॉट देयर.
Absolutely.
And so beautifully you said that if you don't create our support circles, if you don't create our support systems, yes, our children will be alone, and they will go through isolation and seclusion. What message would you like to leave आज बच्चों को, बच्चों के parents को, what message would you like to leave them with?
The most important thing for me, what I have always been my philosophy, and I've told parents, is that, sorry, I don't know if I've disappeared.
No, you're still here. You're a little
No, I'm
frozen.
okay. Because I'm using my phone, everything keeps like popping up and I can't
Yeah.
figure out whether it's there or not. Sorry. So for
You
me, the most important thing I would like to tell parents is that nobody knows your child the way you know your child. Trust yourself as a parent. Trust your gut. Your gut will tell you when your child is progressing or not progressing. It doesn't matter what anybody else will tell you as far as what environment is best for your child. You know what environment is best for your child. So trust yourself before anyone else, and make sure at the end of the day your child is happy. A child
Saima, are you still there? So we are in conversation. हम साइमा हक से बात कर रहे हैं of SCEI, ParentsPlus and Spelt. बहुत सारी accomplishments. I think Saima, you're back.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. But yeah, the important thing for mothers is to know that, you know your child better than anybody else. You can advocate for your child better than anybody else. Make sure that your child, whatever you're teaching your child, if it's, weigh your pros and cons. What's important for my child right now? Socially, emotional. If your child is if your child has a healthy emotional well-being, learning will come naturally. But if your child is not happy in the learning environment that he's in, he's not learning. I think that's, we have to understand that, because even in our school, our children come and then they go through phases where they just don't want to get up and come to school in the morning. And when parents get frustrated and come to us and say, we don't know what to do, we say, don't worry, even if he doesn't come to school for a month, let whatever is going on internally, let it pass. Because if you force a child to do something they don't want to do, chances are you're not going to get anywhere. So be very tuned into your child's emotional space, and a child will tell you where he wants to go and tell you what environment he's learning from. You just have to be able to tune yourself into your child's emotional space so that you can understand what choices to make for your child. So that's my takeaway, is what I think is important.
Thank you so very much, Saima, for giving us so much time, so much of your precious time. And honestly, I think I used to see you at carnivals, and I used to see you in a lot of places, but I actually saw you when Alia was born. So
Yeah.
thank you for being such a beacon and for instilling hope and positivity.
Yeah, and keep doing what you're doing, and you guys are very special. And anything that I can do, I hope that at some point, you know, my hope has always been to be able to, even if it's only for a minute, make somebody else's life better and easier. So anybody ever needs any support, I'm there. Reach out to me. Um, I'm available on WhatsApp. Alia has my contacts on Facebook. Reach out if there's anything I can do anytime. And keep this going, Alia. I mean, I call you Alia Rabia. Keep it going. You're doing a wonderful job. And you have lots of duas with you from, I'm sure, everywhere, every corner of the world. Keep it up. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And you have a very pleasant day.
You too. Bye.
Bye. So that was Saima Haq, who is, I don't even think कि मेरे पास अल्फाज हैं कि मैं बता सकूं कि वो कितनी अमेजिंग हैं, वो कितनी अमेजिंग हैं. उन्होंने इतना काम किया है पाकिस्तान को, कराची को इतने साल दिए हैं. And you know, I think a lot of times we take it for granted. We take it for granted when we think, oh, somebody is doing some work. And you know, one of the things that Saima didn't mention, which I would like to mention right now, is that Saima is a trained special educationist. लेकिन उन्होंने ये काम इसलिए नहीं शुरू करा था because she was coming from a background where कोई उनके घर में differently able था या special needs का बच्चा था. And I think it is so commendable when people just work और वो सिर्फ काम करते हैं because they have a true passion to do something. So again, thank you so much, Saima Haq. I will be sharing Sky के details, I will be sharing the app के details ताकि आप लोग उससे information हासिल कर सकें. And I will also be sharing Spelt के details ताकि जो लोग अपने आप को और ज़्यादा इस process के अंदर aware, educated and learn from the experts, do join Spelt की association. And at today at 4 o'clock we have from live from Dubai Myra Chishti Zakiuddin, who will be talking about mental wellness. आज का दिन हम लोगों ने इसलिए रखा है ताकि हम एक ब्रीदर ले सके बिफोर बाकी का वीक हमारे आगे जो बाकी के 2-3 दिन खड़े हैं, हम उसको really सोच सकें, समझ सकें और अपनी इमोशनल नीड्स को एड्रेस कर सकें. So tune in 4 बजे because we will be doing a lot of breathing, a lot of thinking, a lot of stopping, just stopping and thinking about what is going on and how we want to be with ourselves. So thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to Saima. Thank you once again, Saima, for sharing so much space and time with us. And अब मेरी आवाज थोड़ी हो रही है, तो इससे पहले मैं खांसूं, मैं जाके पानी पीती हूँ and आपको मैं 4 बजे मिलूंगी. खुदा हाफिज.